Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with another Screenwriter's Rant about Masters of the Universe, Revelation. People can't stop talking about the cartoon, and maybe that was the point. Maybe that was the point of this fiasco, I guess you would call it. Because people are bashing the hell out of it, even as the critics on Rotten Tomatoes seem to be defending it. Look, I understand. I had a friend text me and say she liked the show, and it's well written. I said so much in my review. It's not poorly written. The problem is the show sucks. Anyway, the show is not good. Because what is the show? The show is for children, right? It's a cartoon meant for children. Or rather, you tell me what the show's for, right? Think in your mind, what is the show for? Okay, so let's say I'm right, and the show's supposed to be for children. The guy got stabbed in the middle of it. And another guy got stabbed in a later episode, which I won't give away. I'll try not, there might be some spoilers in here. Stabbing never flew back in the 80s for children's TV. It's children's programming. You don't show blood. You don't show people getting stabbed. You just don't. That's a grown-up thing. You don't want a kid to see a guy get stabbed and bleed out. So, I would argue the show is not for kids. Okay, you've eliminated kids. All right, it's not for kids. So why bring back the franchise at all? Okay, the old fans. I'm an old fan. I was like 17 when the show came out, but I was a cartoon guy, so I watched everything. I was too old for it, even then. So, watching the cartoon, I thought it was dumb. It wasn't even for me then. But somebody 10 years younger than me, about 7, would have been like, wow, this is cool. This is fun. I like it. So that person grows up, and let's say, they're 10 years younger than me, so they're 45. They hear this show's coming out. They're going to say to their kids, oh, kids, the cartoon I used to watch as a kid is coming out again. It's called He-Man. Let's all watch it. You got kids about that age, about the 7, maybe a little older, but around that age, and your kids are like, oh yeah, sure, Dad, we'll watch the show with you. Then you sit down to watch it, and it's not the show. It's very much not the show. The main character is sidelined. There's no getting around that. The main character is sidelined. Doesn't matter how good the show is. If you have a show, if you did a show today called Pepe Le Pew, right, from Warner Brothers, he's already been canceled, but let's imagine you're going to revive Pepe Le Pew, and everybody's like, whoa, you're going to revive Pepe Le Pew? Well, I don't see how you're going to do that. Then the show starts, and it's all about the cat. Pepe Le Pew is in it, but, he's sidelined. And, he doesn't act like Pepe Le Pew. He doesn't do the whole shtick where he's like, oh, mon ami, blah, 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 blah. Is that Pepe Le Pew? No. And look at how they advertised it. Here's a Masters of the Universe clip. Revelation. He-Man is in the thumbnail. Here's an official clip. Oh, no. Here's the official clip. Sorry. The top one was a review. He-Man. He-Man, He-Man, He-Man. And you could see all the terrible reviews. Here's He-Man again. Netflix official trailer. He-Man's in the thumbnail. And over again, you could say, Tila, actress, talks diversity and crappy fanboys. I guess that one is pro-show. But a lot of them are called bait and switch. Whether you like the current show or not, you can't possibly argue that, the show isn't a bait and switch after what Kevin said about it, after all the early stuff. Here, by the way, is the old He-Man, new He-Man side by side. You got Adam, the muscle-bound guy with the mop top, who turns into a muscle-bound guy with a mop top who's got fewer clothes on. That was part of the show. That was part of the fun. But the bait and switch is real. Doesn't matter if you think, well, the show's better. That's not the show. I don't care how good the show is. It's not the show I wanted to see. I sit down, I tell all my kids, oh, this is this great show I used to watch when I was 7. They sit down and watch it. And I tell them about the show. Oh, it's a guy with a sword and he ran around and he fought this guy with a skull face. It was amazing. And we watched the first show. And they turn to me and go, Dad, the 2 main guys of the show are dead. Sorry, spoilers. Told you there'd be spoilers. Now I look like an a-hole. And I'm probably pissed off because now the show's been changed so much. It's not the show. Now it's about this angry broad named Tila who's got a chip on her shoulder. And keep in mind, as I've said, I'm not a He-Man fan. I think the show sucks. I think the show has always sucked. It's just a toy line. Who cares? But people are talking about it. So from a screenwriting perspective, this bait and switch pisses off all the fans. So you've pissed off the old fans. You don't have any kids because you're stabbing people. Who's left? Okay, you've got geeky people who have bought in on this new woke nonsense where everything's got to be female. That's a tiny slice. Yeah, Twitter loves the show. Yeah, the critics love the show. They're on Twitter too. Everybody else hates the show. Everybody else is dunking on this thing. You've pissed off the entire fan base. And don't get me wrong, this show is totally going to be renewed for a second season. Probably already was in the pipeline. Because the Netflix executives most likely liked the show. Now, again, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It's very possible. Kevin Smith's the most base guy you ever met. He went in like, oh yeah, I want to do a He-Man cartoon. He-Man's the center of attention. He kills people. He's like badass and he does all this cool stuff. The Netflix exec said, no, we don't want that. We want you to do, we want you to make Tila the main character. And Kevin may have fought them on it. And then they said, well, we're not going to do the show. We're not going to hire you unless you do it this way. Could very well be the case. Could also very well be the case that they had 3 or 4 guys at Kevin's level pitching the show, right? So if I was at Kevin's level, I'm not. But I'm about his age. And I pitched the show. There's no way I would have pitched this. I would have pitched it as my comedy, right? I would have pitched it because I'm a comedy guy. I would have pitched it as this is going to be a funny show. Takes place after all the events of the other shows, and we just make fun of all the tropes and make fun of all the fantasy stuff. It would be like Disenchantment, only like really laugh out loud funny. Kind of like the Robot Chicken bits they used to do. Only, it would be within Eternia. And you'd explore Eternia as it was. And Eternia made very little sense. Castle Grayskull makes very little sense. But the Netflix guys would be likely to say no to that pitch because they're on board with the trends. They see trend, they see money. They see trend on Twitter, they see money. But they're also insulated because it's not TV anymore. See, regular TV, you would have to get ratings because ratings mean sponsors, sponsors mean money. That system worked up to a point. You ended up getting a lot of crap on the TV anyway, but at least what was on the air, you knew at least a portion of the population wanted or was willing to see. There was still some insulation there, but not as much. Now you got Netflix. People already pay for Netflix. Who cares if they watch? As long as they watch something, the rest is fine. Which allows you a certain amount of flexibility. It allows people with vision to build up something that maybe wouldn't be watched on regular TV. But this is not the way to do it. That kind of show would be like the Altered Carbon show, which was pretty good. It was a really solid premise anyway. I know a lot of people don't like the show. I thought it was decent. The sci-fi premise of that show had to be built on the fact that the lead actor changed every season, and which was one of the premises, but there were more. So you know, 3 or 4 seasons of that, you can get into some really cool stuff, right? By the third or fourth season, you'd be bringing back the actors, and you know, and this guy, it was like super old. He was going through time. He was timeless in his own way. You could keep changing society and do. I mean, there's a lot of places to go. There's almost no places to go in Eternia. Kevin's trying to build it up from the ground, essentially. Especially when he eliminated the two main guys, right? The two main guys are gone, and then he dumps it on Teela, who now he builds from the ground up, because there was almost nothing to Teela. She was the character in the show that we go, what are we going to do, He-Man? Along with everybody else in the show. That was basically the show in the 80s. Like, something would happen, and then we go, He-Man, what do we do? And He-Man would go, I know. I'll use my sword and do some funky stuff. And it would work. He wouldn't get stabbed through the heart and murdered. But He-Man too woke. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The internet hates this. Absolutely hates it. I think it's more, though, about Kevin lying in his podcast than anything else. If Kevin had come out and just said, listen, we're going to do a totally different take on He-Man. You know, it's going to have the old characters, some of them, but we're going to get rid of all the stupid ones, and it's going to be a completely new show. Completely new show. That would have given him the ability to dump a character like Man-at-Arms that still makes no sense. His name is Man-at-Arms. Which they said, okay, now it's a title. His real name's Duncan. Okay. Man-at-Arms. Well, now Teela's going to be Man-at-Arms. That doesn't make any sense. So you could revive it by going, okay, Woman-at-Arms. Right? You could change it to Woman of Arms or whatever. Mistress of Arms. Whatever you're going to call it. You could have changed the whole dynamic right out the gate. Right? You could make the characters completely different. You could set up Eternia however you want. Instead, Kevin is trying to do this juggling act, and he did this in DC Comics when he essentially fixed Green Arrow. And I talked about that comic, right? Kevin fixed Green Arrow. It was a mess. In Kevin's defense, it was a total mess. He fixed it the way we do in comics, which is he kept all the history, and he did this convoluted explanation of how Oliver Green comes back to life, and he was back. And he just got past it and then just moved on. Because what else are you going to do? When other writers S the bed, there's not much you can do. Other than say, either you say that history never happened, or you say, well, this is a one-time thing, we're going to hit a reset. So Kevin is trying to do that without hitting the reset button. But he's trying to save a franchise that never had any history to begin with. Not really. It was just a history of toy line. That's it. That's all it was. So the key moment in the first one, again, more spoilers, is right before the big confrontation, they kill Mossman. And Mossman was one of the characters. He was one of the toys. Most people, and you know, I read a bunch of the reviews and the reactions. They were like, "Who, you know, is Mossman a guy? Was he a guy?" I didn't even remember him as a guy. A lot of people just thought, well, the trees must come to life and protect Eternia or something, like in Lord of the Rings. No, he was an actual guy. He was like a dude who, I guess, hung out in the basement of Castle Grayskull because it was damp, and did nothing until he showed up to die. So bringing him back and then murdering him, what does that do? Nobody knew who he was, why he was important, why he wasn't important. So, okay, you're just going to start killing guys left and right? Okay. Kill a bunch of more unimportant guys, who cares? And he's also set the bar as, well, now we kill people, which makes it, again, not a kid show. So who's this for? Okay, you could say, it's for teenagers. Teenagers are not going to watch He-Man. I hate to tell you. And if you're going to skew it female, teenage girls are definitely not watching cartoons. If it's not in their phone and not about a guy or makeup or shoes or clothes, they don't have a lot of time for this. Yeah, there's a handful of geek girls who will be like, ooh, He-Man, I used to, ha, fanboys. Yeah, all 10 of them watch the show, I'm sure. The vast majority of teenage girls, they got a lot going on. Girls mature faster than boys, right? So girls in their teens, they're looking after high school. They're getting their lives lined up. Guys are still playing video games and playing cartoons. That's why they watch cartoons. That's why I watched cartoons at 17. Because I was a geek. So Kevin shot himself in the foot with this. Most of the guys are going to watch this and go, oh, man, I didn't want to hear this woman, Tila, lecture me about how Prince Adam lied to her. No one cares. No one cares. What we want to see is someone do something bold, something that we can't do in real life. So, Tila could have done something bold, like she could have been the one to grab the sword and evaporate into whatever. That would have been bold. She could have tried to chop off Skeletor's head, but she didn't do anything. She failed at every level in the first episode, despite the fact of getting constantly complimented about how great she is. And then in the end, she got mad and quit. Now she's back to save the day. Okay, is there no one else in Eternia? There's like a million guys with crazy names and arms with robot arms and claws and crazy stuff. Oh, but Tila, the one person in Eternia that doesn't have a crazy name, well, Tila's kind of crazy, I guess, or title. Well, she's the true hero. The whole point of this was He-Man's and the Masters of the Universe. You're going to screw people, you're going to get screwed. This was about fan service. It wasn't about how good the writing was. You can take Pepe Le Pew and make it this amazing show with Pepe Le Pew's sideline. People are still going to be pissed off. Even though Pepe Le Pew, maybe he's dated and, you can't really do that now, whatever. It was a joke anyway. Kevin Smith lied. Clownfish TV was right. They were right. Reviews confirm it. Orco. Oh, by the way, another spoiler. Orco's dead. See, these are rookie screenwriting moves. Murdering characters are a rookie move because it gets everybody's attention and it makes major changes. See, when you go to pitch comics, let's say, right? And you go in, say you go into DC and you go, I got this great idea for a story that I think everybody will read. In the first issue, Clark Kent gets exposed as Superman. It changes everything. Well, the people at DC Comics, they might acknowledge, yeah, that would be a great story. Then what? Now you've ruined our whole dynamic. Now we have to create a whole new one. That's why Superman is always Clark Kent. That's why Peter Parker is always Spider-Man. They always come back to the status quo because there's a balance there, and these characters have lasted for eons. That's why you don't kill people. You don't kill Lois Lane off and go, well, now we'll give him a different girlfriend. No, you don't do that. That's why you don't kill Orco. But again, this franchise isn't important enough that anyone even cares. There's a handful of He-Man, hardcore He-Man fans who are going, ah! So what? There's not enough of them to make a difference. So they're just throwing poor Orco into the wood chipper and saying, aren't we cool? We killed off another character. Okay, who are you going to replace him with? What toy is going to come back? I'm sure they're going to bring back Orco. There'll be some version of Orco returning. So, here's another one. I lied. There's so many of them. And here it is, Season 2, release date. You already got Season 2 lined up. And I'm not surprised at all. Look at what they did with Batwoman, right? Batwoman, they had the lead actress quit a show. Do you know how bad the show has to be for your lead to quit? This is like everything an actor or actress wants. They want to be the lead. This is the top tier. To be the lead of a show, to be a lead of a movie. Movie's bigger than TV, but to be the lead of a show and to walk away, that's brutal. That shows you how awful she thought the show was, in my view. That she would go, oh, I can't be responsible for this train wreck anymore. I can't say these lines. That's how bad Batwoman has to be for the lead actress to walk away. No one's watching the damn show. It doesn't have the ratings. That's still on regular TV where they have ratings. But no one at the CW or DC seems to care. They're just trying to drive it to syndication to get more content. But this is part of the reason why Netflix is bleeding subscribers. I think eventually Netflix will make their service free or so cheap that most people have it. It'll be included with things. That's the only reason I still have access to it. It was included with something that I still have access to, and I'm not paying for it. Otherwise, I tried to cancel it back with Cuties, and I called them. I said, I want this canceled. And they're like, well, you have it for free. So, if this ever shows up on my bill, I'm going to be furious, by the way. But they assured me, well, we're not going to bill you because we're not billing you. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll watch Netflix when I see something that interests me. Or this. Let's see. Here you go. Ending explained. This is how you don't need these videos if the show works. You just don't need it. And to go out and do the mainstream entertainment media and just keep saying, well, no, the show's good, you just don't understand it. This is they're brigading our reviews. This is not brigading the reviews, okay? You've got literally dozens. I'm just scrolling through dozens of people saying, and most of them are, this is bad. This is awful. Or at least that Kevin lied. And that's the worst part of it. If Kevin hadn't lied, here's what Kevin should have done. He should have gone into Netflix and said, well, instead of doing He-Man, why don't we just do a new show and I'll just build it from the ground up? Well, the Netflix execs would probably say, well, we have this franchise. It's the whole reason we bought it is so people would watch it. So the next step would be you have to have the fan service. So you have to have both. So the best course of action would have been probably to do Tila and He-Man together. Maybe they're a couple, that kind of thing. But again, the woke, they're probably not going to tolerate that. So it all shifted to Tila because that's what they do. That's what they do. It's just endless here. Kevin Smith lied to us all, and that's the other thing. Like, this really is going to hurt Kevin most of all. Forget about He-Man. I mean, people will just not watch it, right? And again, they'll keep renewing it until Netflix is tired of paying for it. And Kevin will probably leave the show. He'll probably take his money and run. But, Netflix will produce it as long as they feel like they're making some amount of money on it. It's part of a broader... It's like, Netflix is not just making one pancake. They're making 2,000 pancakes. And yeah, nobody's buying the raspberry one over here, but there are... we're selling 1 million of the blueberries, so we're making money. That's what it's all about. But are they? I mean, they dropped quite a few subscribers. And as the... That's a funny thumbnail. Check that out. Who is that? I don't even know this dude. Big Gold Belt Media. That's a pretty that joke. Now that would have been funny. Uh, Black He-Man would have been hilarious with a fro like that. Come on, I have the fro. And look, some people are going to go online. They're going to say they love it. And maybe they do. My friend liked it. It's again, it's not poorly written, but it's not He-Man. It's not what it was. So you don't have me, and somebody who grew up on this stuff. They're not going to like it. Where their kids like it, well, it's 50-50, right? Kids might like it, or they might turn to their dad and go, what the hell is this? And when the dad goes, oh, this isn't the good show. You know what? I got an old VHS and the He-Man on tape, or, DVD. Maybe there's a DVD. I don't know. I'm sure you can find the old shows on online. He'll show them those. And they'll probably think they're stupid, too. And in fact, he might have showed them before this even dropped. As soon as the news dropped, he might have went, oh, come on, we gotta watch the old show. And then they watched it and went, oh, this show sucks, Dad. He goes, no, it's great. Look, he's got a sword. Look, he's got a tiger. And they're all like, oh, whatever, Dad. And then when the show came out, he was like, oh, you guys gonna watch the new show with me? And they all went, no, I'm gonna play video games. Nah, my friend is going to the mall or whatever. The mall. Nobody goes to the mall anymore. And then he watched it by himself, and he got to the end of it and went, ugh. And then his kids came home and went, hey, Dad, did you watch He-Man? Yeah. What happened? Yeah, it wasn't good. Oh. Oh, here's a guy who liked it. He loves it. Okay. Zach Pope. Good for you, man. You're welcome to it. You're welcome to like this show. Let me say that. You're welcome to like this show. I don't care. But I think you're in the minority. So enjoy your 2 seasons. Kevin, enjoy the backlash because your geek cred is, in my view, is toast, man. Oh, you should hang your head in shame the next Comic-Con you go to. Because you'll be lucky if they're not, throwing tomatoes at you. Rotten tomatoes. Ba-dum-bum.